Thank you, guys.
Great job. Absolutely. Let's give these guys another round of applause. That was awesome. I really love the exchange of ideas and how everyone didn't always agree, but it was extremely informative, and we know how important our security and privacy is. And so I am really excited to see ZK proofs be adopted. I flew in from the US, and that's something that is not spoken about enough. And we see companies continuously asking for data, but not saying what they're doing with that data and how that data is being protected. And there's breaches all the time. So if we can have implementation of ZK in the US across the board, that would be huge, super helpful, but everywhere. So we're going to have another dynamic conversation. We have some great speakers waiting to join us on stage. And they're going to be talking about unlocking real-world value in Web3. And so I am going to welcome Mark Cachia to the stage, please. Just give Mark a round of applause. Mickey. Let's give another round of applause for Mickey Maher. And Mickey's with Project Liberty Labs, and Mark is with Scytale Digital. We have Arron Goolsbey. Welcome to the stage from Mythical Games. And we have Ingo Ruebe. Welcome, and he is from KILT Protocol. Looking forward to another really incredible conversation.
All right. Is this on? Can you hear me? Testing. Better. All right. Thank you, and welcome to our panel on the Polkadot stage. So we're going to talk a little bit about a few projects on Polkadot and real-world adoption of blockchain. So in the Polkadot ecosystem, decentralization is not only a fancy term. It's something that's actually happening with over 820 million DOT, worth over $5 billion currently staked, supporting the network that links private, public, and upcoming blockchains together, enabling secure and seamless data sharing. Polkadot's setup isn't just about moving data around. It's about making sure it's safe and letting communities take charge of more than of the Treasury through active governance, with over 904 proposals and 25 million DOT paid out so far from the Treasury, all through open governance, to support new ideas and to support what the community wants from the ecosystem. So we have three top players from the ecosystem here in Frequency, Mythical Games, and KILT, blending social network, gaming, digital identity, and finance into a single smooth experience. There have been over 790,000 XCM, that's cross-chain messages across the different parachains in Polkadot, and decentralization shapes everything that's happening here. So let's get ready to check out this ecosystem. So maybe we'll start with Mickey right next to me. So what is Project Liberty Labs and Frequency?
Thanks. So Project Liberty is an entity that was created some years ago out of what they felt, and because I've been with the group 7 months, so I wasn't there when it was founded, but they felt was a toxicity within the web or internet environment, especially on social media, as an inherent problem to society and individuals' health. And Project Liberty set out to build a better web. So in building a better web, thus a better world, some technology was created around that by the labs group. Two pieces of technology were created, a protocol called DSMP, which is essentially a decentralized open source social protocol, essentially to make the entire internet social. And then a blockchain, a layer 1 blockchain leveraging the Polkadot ecosystem was created called Frequency, and Frequency was created to allow DSMP to function. So DSMP over Frequency's main purpose is to deliver power and agency back to the user base. So part of the web and social media's toxicity is the usage of user data, the control of user data, and what the algorithms do with that data and surfacing content, much of the time harmful content. So if that data and identity and social graph is put onto an open source ledger like Frequency, users ultimately have control over what is done with their data, how it is monetized, how it's accessed, et cetera. So DSMP Frequency open sources social, takes social outside of these walled gardens, and allows the power and agency in data control back to the user base.
Thank you. So now we'll move over to Arron. Mythical Games is a gaming studio. Mythos is a platform, a Web3 platform to support video games. How much progress do you think we've made bringing Web3 technology and business models to the mainstream?
That's a good question. I think it's great to sit on stage and talk to folks that are in this industry so that we can really push ourselves forward. I happen to have an amazing job. I get to work on games pretty much every day. And the platform, as Mark had described, that we're using right now is ready for third-party platform and AAA game experiences to join us in pushing the industry forward. And I think we've got a long ways to go. We've made a lot of progress, and it's a great time to be in the industry, but the sky is the limit. I mean, there's so much more potential for us, all of us, to produce real value for users in a mainstream capacity. And gaming and interactive entertainment is a hero use case for making that progress. So very excited to talk about a lot of things around how we can push this forward. I think I see a lot of eyes in the audience that are in agreement that we do have quite a bit of potential ahead of us too.
Thanks. So, and Ingo, KILT Protocol provides a platform for attestations and accreditations for DIDs. What does that mean for enterprise and government having a digital identity?
Yeah, so enterprise and government is, so for us it is the most important use cases probably, because digital identity is something that is all around us. I think that is a term that we've heard in the last year pretty often. But there's different concepts, of course, and then there has been a standardization process over the course of the last 6 years. What came out was DIDs and verifiable credentials, and this is what we do at KILT Protocol. So we basically are an implementation of DIDs and verifiable credentials. But if you want to have something like that adopted in the big scale, and this is what we want definitely, it normally does not trickle up, it trickles down. So for us, it is important to get governments and big enterprise into this at the very beginning, because you know that projects in these scale, they normally take a little bit longer than you meet some guy from the crypto sphere and then you agree on do something together tomorrow and you're all very agile and you can bake something together in a couple of weeks. So when we work together, that doesn't take for ages, right? So we just implement something because we're in the same ecosystem, we have the same mindset, pretty easy thing. But if you talk with a government, like we are working with the German government, for example, they are implementing DIDs and verifiable credentials to the smart meters of German homes, and they started the rollout, and we hope to have tens of millions of devices rolled out, hopefully pretty soon, and then they're going to put this into the wild out there and sell it to other countries. They're already talking with some South American companies to also adopt this. We have a project with Deloitte. That is a big company. They are doing their KYB and KYC offerings that they have down into the industry. They're doing that on our platform. Such a project, it takes like, I don't know, a couple of years to actually negotiate these things, but then they start rolling out, and we now see them rolling out, and that is so important for us as well, because if you talk to a smaller company and say, yeah, we have this blockchain thing and this DID is a verifiable credential, totally new, then they say, sure. But if you can say, yeah, and then Deloitte also uses that and the German government then also uses that, then they don't have to make an assessment if we are actually a sound thing, right? So it's, for us, it's important to start at the big ones and then trickle down to the smaller ones, because the other way around is probably really hard.
Mark, we also have an identity solution ourselves, but it's narrowly focused to social. So when you think about our project, if you create your handle or your identity on the S&P over frequency, that identity and the friend and social graph associated with that identity can be ported permissionlessly to any application that's leveraging our protocols. So essentially you own your handle or your identity, and it can be ported across the web based on DSMP frequencies adoption. Currently, we have close to 900,000 unique active user identities on frequency. I think there's a Polkadot booth with a live counter. You can see exactly how many active unique identities are on frequency, and that's essentially user handles with associated friend and social graph data on chain.
So, Mickey, in the news recently, the founder of Project Liberty announced a bid for the American segment of TikTok. Does Project Liberty / frequency figure into this? Or can you speak about this?
I can speak about it. So, as I mentioned earlier, the mission of the organization is to create a better web, better world. And the organization believes the current climate in social media is highly toxic. And we might not all agree on this, but I think where we stand as an organization, nothing exemplifies that toxicity more than TikTok and the way TikTok leverages and abuses user data. So when the US announced that they were going to essentially force TikTok to divest from the Chinese entity, we saw that as a prime opportunity to put our money where our mouth is and taking that toxic acid in-house and then leveraging the technology that was built for this specific purpose and marry the two together. So I think TikTok, we want to take the data usage and give that power back to the users, that agency back to the users, that control back to the users. And nothing does that better today than DSMP over frequency. So I think, if you look at those two things independently, I think if, TikTok comes in-house, I think there's probably a pretty good case to make that would be leveraging DSMP over frequency.
Got it. So Arron, back to you. You mentioned before about Web3 and business and adoption. What strategies can the industry employ to see that we actually get mass adoption?
Yeah, I think there's several different ways to answer a question like this. I'll start with the core. The technology is amazing. The strategies that have been built around the ecosystems has come a very, very long way. I think it's very simply, we all should be focused on providing value to the end user. I think a couple of things that I've noticed is we talk a lot about coins and we talk a lot about wallets, but we don't talk a lot about individual people. like the users, the end consumers. For us in the games business, that's players. We care greatly about the experience that our players have and the value that's generated from their play experiences on our platform or in our games over a long period of time. And we think the value of Web3 technology is it extends the durable experience of those players on our platform for much longer periods of time. And that's very good for the user, extremely good for the user. And it's also very good for game developers and content producers and creators. There's so much more that we could do if we just focused on making sure that the technology and the strategies that we employ generate more value for the people using the technology. I think my colleagues here talking about how owning your data and owning your social graph will improve the experience that you have on social media. We feel the same way about marketplaces related to gaming, and we feel the same way about our token. We feel the same way about our foundation. We think we should all be focused on that end user's quality experience over long periods of time. That's how we're going to push it forward.
And sorry, go ahead.
Can I add to that, or are we short on time? I'm sitting at this conference in some of the panels, and a lot of the talk is about meme coins, if not most of the talk. And look, meme coins are fun, and there's product market fit right now for meme coins, and you can't deny that. People like them, they like trading them. But I think it's still niche, and that's what the focus is on. It's like taking the iPhone and saying, hey, the only thing that exists on this iPhone is social casino apps, right? You would be underutilizing this thing significantly. So if you equate the iPhone, or if the analogy of the iPhone is the blockchain, how do we leverage the blockchain and smart contracts to create the Ubers or the Instagrams or the Snapchats or the Telegram of this technology rather than just the social casino apps? Because that's really where we're at right now. And I think this panel especially exemplifies us trying to push the ball forward to find real mass market use cases that are long and enduring and valuable, the Angry Birds, the Ubers, the Instagrams of this technology.
So Arron, which industries do you see as ripe for mass adoption?
Well, I happen to be a little biased. I think gaming is, like I said, a hero use case for pushing this forward. And that's why I work at Mythical. That's why I work with the foundation. And that's why we're very excited about moving to Polkadot, because we've noticed that Polkadot is also positioning itself to be a very open and secure way to ensure that this ecosystem, this garden, if you will, is being curated for very positive value-based results for the users inside that ecosystem. And we feel the same way about the Mythical platform. And so we're very excited about bringing all of our technology over to that Polkadot ecosystem so that we can contribute to it. I do think it's going to push it forward. I do think, again, that we're looking for partners who view gaming in the same way that we do, which is AAA game experiences are an amazing opportunity for us to bring an enormous number of people. There are over 2 billion gamers, thanks to the iPhone and Angry Birds and many other games. But there are 2 billion gamers out there that are actively participating in gamified economies inside these very high value experiences. And we think that Web3, along with ecosystems like Polkadot, can really unlock this experience, which is now mostly, in a Web2 world, it's mostly consumption-based, meaning I pay, I play, and then when I'm done playing, I sort of walk away from that investment because there's nothing I can do with it because it's inside a walled garden. We think we can transform that into I can play, I can pay, I can curate, and then maybe when I'm done with that game and I want to move on, I can very easily find someone else who would equally love what I have done to these game assets and what I have earned from these game experiences, and they would buy them from me in a very safe and curated, what we call open garden. So I think by partnering with Polkadot and others that believe in this sort of open garden philosophy, I think we're going to really push the industry forward.
So that was one industry, gaming. I agree with you. Ingo, you're in very different industries, government, enterprise. and with a different angle, going for the large partners. Why did you choose Polkadot as the ecosystem?
Yeah, so in the beginning, so we went on Polkadot in 2018. That is quite a while ago. At that point, we were going to implement decentralized identity, and we didn't feel that a smart contract can actually take the complexity of what we want to build, and we wanted to build our own blockchain, and Polkadot offers you the possibility to build your own blockchain, so basically to build your own layer 2. That was not possible on any other chain at that point. So this is why we initially went in there. But it turned out to be actually very good to be in there because Polkadot is, I think, the ecosystem which is the most decentralized one. This is what you touched on a little bit with the governance in the beginning. So it is really, I think, the biggest DAO in the world, actually, with the most active users and the most money being thrown around. And that makes it like real blockchain. It feels much better. And for me, it feels much better to be in an ecosystem like that, not with one centralized person or group of persons which can actually decide what is going to happen next. It's really like a DAO should be. That is good for my feeling. What is good for the feeling of the people, of the customers, basically, of the adoption for us, for our product, is that Polkadot has always been extremely careful in being regulatory compliant. And the decentralization is part of it. So when you're centralized as a blockchain, then somebody can basically come to you and say, hey, you did something wrong. When you're totally decentralized, it is more complicated. It is really a decision by the community. Of course, it was always also pointed very much to the SEC that everything that Polkadot does or decides is SEC compliant and so on. So these things really, really help. There was no case where Polkadot itself or the ecosystem actually did something totally illegal or rug pull or whatnot. These things just didn't happen because the community guards it. And that is really, really valuable for us now. That we can basically say we are not only a decentralized blockchain, but we are taking our security from a system which with a value of, I don't know, $10 billion or something in staking. And this is also absolutely regulatory compliant what's happening there. That is very, very important when you talk with big entities because that generates the necessary trust. So, and of course, there's the community. Oh, forgot the community, sorry. So I think that there's also a very like-minded community. You see 3 industries sitting here, right? And some other ecosystems, you would maybe see 3 meme coins here. That is a different, right? So what we do here is actually real business because frequency and everything that's behind that, like me, actually they have to earn money at one point, right? and also Mythical Games is well, it's gaming on one side, but on the other side, it's real business, right? So we're doing business on blockchain, and I think that is this piece of adoption that we have to think of a little bit more maybe in the future, because as you said, meme coins are fantastic, but they are not creating real value. I'm not saying anything against it. Let's do that. But in the end, the technology that we have started building in 2015 or something, or 2012, it has to show some value for the people out there, some value which is outside speculation. And this is then the real value of the system. And this is where we at one point have to go. And I think that in the Polkadot ecosystem, you can pretty easily put together a panel like that. And maybe in other ecosystems, it is a little bit more complicated. So I think I feel well with the community around me.
I could say something about Polkadot.
Please do.
Okay. So I've been in Web3, crypto, blockchain, whatever we call it today. It's about 6.5 years now. I've had 2 stops in this industry. I was one of the founding employees at Dapper Labs all the way back in early 2018. And at Dapper Labs, we built the first thing on Ethereum. And after we built that thing on Ethereum, we recognized Ethereum was not going to be able to scale for mass market adoption. So at Dapper, we looked at, I think, about 40 different blockchains of where to build our next thing on. And ultimately, what we decided to do was build our own blockchain and our own smart contract language for our specific use cases, which revolved around NFTs. Fast forward to Project Liberty, same thing was true here. DSMP was originally built on Ethereum, and it became blatantly obvious then to the technologists here, and this is a technology-heavy company, that for a social media use case, Ethereum was a non-starter. So the group here did something very similar that we did at Dapper. Was they looked at, I think, 36 blockchains, did true deep dives on those chains to figure out what was the best chain to enable and scale to a social media use case. And it ended up being Polkadot. So the group here, deep technologists, decided, hey, for this particular use case, to bring hundreds of millions, if not billions, of social media users on-chain, Polkadot was going to be the best choice for that.
Interesting. And I think Mythical journey was a little bit similar.
Yeah, absolutely. Mythical started in 2018 and realized very quickly a similar conclusion, which is had to build our own EVM chain in order to handle the scale and complexity of the use cases that we were generating from our game Blankos. Fast forward to today, we've got NFL Rivals, we've got Nitro Nation, we just announced Pudgy Penguin. Like, there's a lot of games coming to our platform, and we're operating our own EVM chain, and so it became very clear that the thing that we were going to be known for is building this amazing open garden situation with high quality games, and what we probably weren't going to be known for is building our own chain. And so we went out and looked, and as it turns out, Polkadot is extremely powerful in the ways that we need it to be, especially when you're talking about gamers and you're talking about trying to create safe gaming experiences. It's very secure, it's very compliant, and these things, and it's very extensible. So for us, it's been a little bit of a journey. We started last year with thinking about the right time frame and the right window for us to make that jump. We started in earnest a couple of months ago, and I'm happy to say we're nearly there. We're 95% across the finish line with moving over to Polkadot.
Maybe we can talk about traction now. What do you think have been the biggest, sort of self-inflicted impediments for Web3 in gaining mass adoption/traction?
KYC. The KYC process, I think the panelists before us talked about, you don't really choose your bank based on your KYC process. That rung very true, I think, to any conversation I have about why is a game platform company choosing to use a blockchain technology when it's so difficult to create a wallet, to complete a transaction, to merge your wallet, to connect your wallet. I think KYC and wallet creation happen to be some of the biggest impediments to mass market adoption.
Entrepreneurial incentives. So I come from a long history of entrepreneurial endeavors in consumer-facing applications, from social to mobile, now Web3. The traditional thinking around disruption and kind of creating a new paradigm is it's going to take the world's best entrepreneurs, it's going to take a lot of them, and it's going to take 10 years of grinding it out, building, failing, et cetera, to kind of break through, right? Like, social media was created by entrepreneurs. This mobile app ecosystem was created by entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs basically push technology forward. If you look at the incentives in this space, it's much easier to just launch a meme coin token and make millions of dollars as an entrepreneur than actually build projects and grind it out and push through for those 10 years that are required, hoping to have that exit or that event at the end of that decade. So I think at some point, the incentives have, if we ever want to push this space forward to true mass market adoption, these, I call them perverse incentives, have to be fixed or go away, or else it's too easy to take the easy road and just launch the next penguin token on Solana and make $10 million rather than build a real project over 10 years that essentially, has big impact on the world.
I think we are missing use cases. We all three were building use cases, but there's not a lot of use cases using blockchain technology, Web3 technology yet. I think it is still for the average user is not saying, oh, I've got to go Web3 with that because that only works on Web3. These things are not happening enough because a lot of developers are thinking rather of the next meme coin than actually putting their effort into building really cool use cases where you actually get the adoption because people want to play with it, interact with it, and so on. So I think we have lost a lot of time actually and a lot of talent doing the wrong things and going very much into speculation rather than actually building stuff. And that is a little bit sad, but let's see, maybe in the future with more incentives.
I have a bonus suggestion as well. A bonus impediment is scale. I mean, when we talk about mass market, we talk about mass adoption, especially with gaming and interactive entertainment, we're talking about billions and billions of transactions a month. And right now, I think chain-wise, the technology still has a long ways that it needs to go to be able to handle lifestyle mass market adoption at that scale. Transactions per second is still, with databases in my business, struggle to handle the transaction per second. And I've worked on some of the world's biggest games like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft. These games struggle with databases, and they shard them, and they stick them, right next to the house where the player is using it. And I think blockchain needs to pay very close attention to this and really push the technology forward so it can handle the level of load and responsibility that will come from being mass market.
All right, well, maybe some people are aware of JAM, Join Accumulate Machine, which is a proposal for an upgrade of Polkadot in a year's time, where Gavin Wood talks about 10,000 times the performance of Ethereum currently with transactions that are very, 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 very nearly free to result in mass adoption. But however, there is a platform that works now, which is good enough for the business of today, with always looking forward. Ingo, I'm going to swing back to you. So you announced today, was the announcement made? Yes? All right, that you launch a pallet. So a pallet, maybe explain what a pallet is, and which allows parachain tokens, any parachain tokens, to be used on Ethereum, on the Ethereum network. What is a pallet, and what does that mean?
First of all, before we go into the pallet, maybe we go a little bit into bridges. You have all worked with bridges. You have all heard criticism on bridges. They are a little bit centralized, and sometimes they get hacked. In the Polkadot ecosystem, we were working a group of people was working on a trustless bridge for the last, I think, 4 years. And that thing has been launched now. It's called Snowbridge, and it is really trustless. So if you want to hack that, you have to hack Ethereum and you have to hack Polkadot, and then you can basically game it. So it depends on the state proofs of the two changes, of the two chains. So that is a great mechanism. Unfortunately, it's just a technology, and now people have to build something on top of it to actually facilitate it. And what we noticed, and also talking with people like Mythical, that one thing that they would actually like to have is that the that the parachain tokens, so the tokens of the chains in the Polkadot ecosystem, could actually be usable also outside the Polkadot ecosystem, because for various reasons actually, to use them, make them use of them in various ways or forms. And then we, as one of the projects, and this is actually quite a good example how Polkadot works, we as one of the projects said that would be practical for us as well. So we have an idea how that would actually work, how we built this with a mechanism around it, and also something which is a module which any parachain could actually link into their parachain and then have the same functionality as well. And this is what we announced today, that we built something like that. It's going to be finished in a couple of weeks, and then it will work for KILT, but it will also be able so any other like Mythical or Frequency can then use this palette as well and just have their coin also available on Ethereum. And this is, I think, this illustrates a bit how Polkadot works. So the one who gets the idea how to build this thing, just builds it, asks the community for refunding from the treasury for that, and if it works, then everyone will be absolutely happy with that, and then everyone has more technology and more possibility than before. And this is the normal doing, how we work together. And I think that also makes it a little bit different from other ecosystems, because in ecosystems very often you compete, because first of all you compete for the block time of the system. In Polkadot, it is more like a collaborative thing. You said in the beginning how many messages have been sent between the chains. So we are here to collaborate. So we, as KILT, we offer a new functionality. Everyone can use that. We're not taking a cut in it. It is just there for the community. So this is how we work.
So I think we have some time to open it to questions. 1 minute? 2 minutes, all right. So how many questions can we do in 2 minutes? Do we have any? Yes, in the middle.
Thank you. For Arron, please, how can you onboard the new gamers, new users, by creating them a new wallet when they subscribe to your game, and do it without having some fees in advance upfront to create them the wallet, you know?
Yeah, it's one of the greatest challenges that we've overcome. So happy to say that we have the world's first game that's been approved by Apple to have an in-game marketplace with Web3 components built into it. It's called NFL Rivals. We have over 5 million players. And what we've done is, again, sort of going back to the very beginning, is we focus on the value for the player. We focus on that, what we call first-time user experience, or FTUE, is sort of the short term for us, and making sure that people can jump in and start playing right away. They can play, they can purchase packs, they can start building their teams. It looks and feels just like any other game experience that they've had before. Very high quality, very low friction, and we've built in a custody system behind the scenes so that they can have a guest wallet. And of course, as they progress and as we've seen their engagement increase over time, and as they want to do more and more with those Web3 objects that they're interacting with, we sort of move them down into taking custody of their wallet, or in some cases, moving them out to the web so that they can use the full-featured marketplace capabilities that come with that.
So first in a custodial way.
I'm sorry, say that again?
So first, in the first time, in a custodial way.
Yes.
And after that, in a non-custodial way.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, so I guess we're out of time. Yeah, thanks for joining our panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much.